Well, this is SANDCAST on the road. Third week in a row we've posted a podcast from some remote location. Tri was in Cancun, and then I recorded a podcast actually the day before the Bulgaria qualifier. And of course I recorded it with Will Hoey and Jake McNeil. And then 10 hours later, we played him in the last round. And they knocked us out. It's like, damn it. And Will was like, you're deleting that podcast now, right?
Oh, no.
And now this is the third country that we've done it back to back to back. Now we're in beautiful, and I don't mean that as a joke, guys. Sochi, Russia is awesome.
Yes,
amazing.
So beautiful.
And if you don't recognize the voices we have Corinne Quiggle, and we have Allie Wheeler, and this is the Bulgaria squad right here.
Bulgaria squad.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since you guys have been able to compete. Obviously the Champions Cup, but how's it been just like hitting the road again?
It feels so good to be able to travel again. I was making a joke, like my travel here to Bulgaria, actually not here, was quite extensive. But honestly, like the whole time I was going through all these things, I was like, man, I am just so happy to be traveling again.
Yeah.
It just feels so good to be traveling again, even though it took me 36 hours and way longer than I thought.
Can you please just, for the listeners who didn't follow along on your journey, can you give us just a rundown? Corinne had a very adverse start to the trip, but
so
adversity's good.
It
worked
is.
out.
We love adversity. We love it. I showed up to LAX and there was hundreds of people just standing in these lines that were forever long, and it was kind of like a dark, weird mood, and I'm just looking for KLM, my airline, and I asked these people, and they're like, oh, it's over there. I'm like, do I have to wait in this long line? They're like, no, go over there. So I get into line, and I'm waiting like 20 minutes, and I ask the people in front of me, I'm like, we should be checking in. Are you going to Amsterdam too? And they're like, oh, no, yeah, the flight's canceled. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, why hasn't anybody told me? I have been standing in line for 20 minutes. And they're like, oh, yeah, these people, like everybody here, like the whole international terminal is out, power outage, nobody's flying out. And so that caused some drama. They couldn't even rebook us at the airport, so I eventually got to talk to somebody, and they were like, yeah, no, you can leave tomorrow. But the problem with that was they were putting me on a flight that didn't have a connection to Sofia, which is where I just really needed to go. I didn't need to go to Amsterdam. So it took a little while. I went home, had a new flight, rebooked, but I was worried it was the next day. It was pushing me back a whole nother 2 days. I would have gotten in Wednesday. We played on Thursday. It was just a whole mess. And I'm texting Allie like, my flight's been canceled. There's no flights leaving out of LAX.
I thought she was kidding too.
And you were like already in Bulgaria or like on the road, right?
I had like a domestic flight first.
Okay.
And so when I arrived, it was in DC, and I was like, she texted me like, hey, my flight has been completely canceled. I thought it was a joke. And then I kept reading. I'm like, oh my God, she's not kidding.
No, I was not joking. So then, I mean, the people so they couldn't rebook us there. I had to call. They rebooked me for another day. It wasn't going to work out. And then they actually booked me on a different flight that was leaving out of the same terminal, LAX, which I was just hoping that flight was going to leave at 6 p.m. We ended up leaving from there on Turkish Airlines around midnight. Yeah. So we were delayed again another, I don't even know, 5 hours, and then I missed my connection, but I made it. I made it to Sofia, spent the night in Istanbul in the airport, got a good lounge. It was great, honestly, but the whole time I was just like so happy to be traveling again. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like those stories, I mean, they kind of suck while you're in it, but you seem to find a way to enjoy it even while you were in it. And then afterwards, like, now you just have a story for the boys.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it was a fun story. And as long as I made it, which I did, it all turned out all right, you know?
And you had, like, a handwritten boarding pass.
Oh, yes. Okay, so they had no power whatsoever, so they couldn't check up anybody in. So they had to call. So they would call, be like, is this person on the flight? Yeah, I think so. Da-da-da. Yeah. Write the seat. They actually gave me the wrong seat. And then when I went through, I had to go through a different terminal. I had to go, instead of the international terminal, all the way to American to go through security. The lady looked at my boarding pass and she was like, this is a boarding pass? I was like, yeah, this is all they gave me. So please just let me through. Yeah. And they did. I mean, she was kind of like, oh, sure, all right, go ahead. Like, we'll see what those people say. And it worked out. When we had to walk back, and everybody in the entire, like, hundreds of people had to do the same thing that I was doing. Yeah. Just to get on a flight.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. People waited in the check-in line for 4 hours. And so I was just happy. I got in like super early. One of my friends was like, hey, check in online. So I checked in online.
Yeah.
And then I got in the online check-in line.
Nice.
And I was the second to last person that they let into that line. And there was a little, there was a Turkish girl behind me, and we just became friends the whole time. We were hanging out. We got like Panda Express together.
Yeah.
And, you know, we started, I mean, it was fun. She was a really nice girl. She was like, if you need a place to stay in Turkey overnight, you can come to my house. And I was like, oh, I'm going to stay at the airport. I don't want to test my luck or anything, but it was very nice. Like, she was really sweet. So it was fun. You know, you get to meet a ton of people.
You really do. I think that's like one of the coolest parts about playing F5EBs, especially like going from a 1-star to a 4-star. Like, it's just a totally different crowd. When's the last time like you guys have played internationally? You played Cambodia with Aurora.
Yeah, and that was last February. And that was my last international tournament.
So that was what, like 14, 13 months?
Yeah, something like that.
It's a long time.
Months,
I was at your wedding during that one.
Yeah. Sorry.
And so my last one was in November of 2019.
Jeez. Where was that one?
It was in Jamaica.
Okay,
Dominican and
Norseca.
Jamaica were both, Norseca.
Fallon?
Fallon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Last two, that was over a year. Crazy.
Long hiatus.
Yeah. And it's like one thing to play, I think, in an AVP qualifier, and then, but I think an international qualifier, it's just like so different because it's a really long flight, and then you're like, I mean, if someone gets hot from the service line, like you're done, and like half an hour, it's like shoot.
Your whole trip.
How was it being back? Like not just in a qualifier, not just traveling internationally, but like traveling internationally to be in a qualifier.
Yeah. It was wild. I would say, like, our first match, we were a little nervous.
Yeah.
So shaky.
We were like, oh, we're so nervy. I think, you just, we haven't been in that position in so long.
And even just in a normal competition, let alone adding all those, like, we flew here, we're in the qualifier to get into a 1-star. Like, it just is a lot of almost pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
All that travel, we want to make our trip worth it,
Right.
And this was a big goal of ours starting out, and then being in the qualifier, we're at the service line with our knees shaking and our hands shaking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know how to serve,
Yeah.
But I feel like once we kept working that out, we had a lot of close games in that qualifier too.
Yeah.
And then once we got more and more comfortable, we're really thankful to have had that like whole tournament underneath our belts coming here.
Yeah. How do you deal with the nerves like that? Because I feel like everyone has something different. I was listening to a podcast with, I forget who it was, but it was one of the 96 women's soccer players, like with Mia Hamm, and who won a gold medal. And she was like, butterflies are great. She's like, you just have to kind of embrace them and teach them how to fly in order. And I've always loved that. It's like, that's really good. It's like every time I get nervous, I'm like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Like nerves are good. It just means you really care.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how you guys kind of handle and like calming down and
Yeah, I would say for me, I always think about just trusting our preparation. And for us, we put a lot in these past few months into preparation. And I think just, I always say like you and me, like just you and me out there. So just trusting that and getting after it.
And I think, we kind of try to practice those things in practice.
Yeah.
Right.
And all the work that we put in, you kind of like fall to the level of your training is what they always say. But then we both understand like how much work we've both put in, and there's like that level of respect that I think we can get as a team.
Yeah.
Where like when she's at the service line, if she's going for it and she misses or whatever, we have that like, hey, we're on the same page. Like there's no like we do a good job about not putting undue pressure on each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we kind of calculate that together of we've put in the work, we've done it, we both are in the same spot, let's like play to our heart's desire rather than putting on that pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that helps alleviate some of the nerves for me.
Yeah.
But it also like helps build that confidence back up. Like the nerves are good, but also like that confidence in your training and in each other.
And I feel like it's weird because I feel like the nerves have an inverse relationship for how deep you go into a tournament, which I think some people would find funny. Like I think you guys would probably be, or at least for me anyway, you'd be more nervous in the qualifier than you would in the gold medal match.
100%.
Yeah.
Because like you just, the more you win and play, the more confident you get and the more familiar you get with the surroundings. Because when we had Will on the podcast, and he was like, one of the biggest struggles, I think, of new international teams is bringing your home game on the road.
Right.
Because it's so different to try to play in a place when you're jet lagged and like you don't know the language and the food and everything's so unfamiliar, and trying to play like as you would in the South Bay in Bulgaria or Sochi. But how did you guys feel like as you went along? Like, did you keep kind of like building on top of one another?
100%.
Yes.
We just kept improving each game.
Yeah.
And yeah, once we got to the gold medal match, we felt super confident in our play. And
I think it's because we kind of went through all those nerves, like
Yeah.
especially like
Right
the
off the
qualifier.
bat,
We had some battles in
Yeah.
the qualifier, and we were able to like stay in our mental side. Like we
And
were
pull it
able to
out,
pull
too.
out all those
Yeah.
close matches, and that also I think builds confidence and allows us to like get more comfortable in the area
Yeah.
as we went on. And even to Sochi, like because we had that tournament coming into here, we felt way more confident, way
Super
more like
confident.
calm, and
yeah.
we felt like really in a rhythm just because we had all those
Yeah.
Yeah.
had that experience already. We kind of like worked through those nerves, and it builds on to that confidence. And then even if you lose, you're like, okay, well, I've done it. There's nothing like, you've lost
You know you
now.
can.
Now you have to go. Like
Yeah.
Right.
it's kind of a, I don't know, an interesting place to be.
Yeah. And you guys, I think it helped that you played really good teams in Bulgaria too.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of those teams came straight from Bulgaria here like you
Yeah.
guys did. So it was kind of like, just with the way that the point system's working out right now, like there's only 1s and 4 stars to play. So
Right.
like everyone who would be kind of in like the 3-star area has to play 1 stars. So
Yeah.
1 stars are like really good competition.
Yeah,
No, it's
really
a
good competition.
Really good competition, especially that tournament. I mean, the last 1-star I played in was Vaduz, and I mean, it was good competition, but this was by far the best
Yeah.
competition I've seen out of 1-star.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what, I mean, me and Adam, our first 1-star was in the Cook Islands, and we came in as like the 4 seed in main draw. And like, you get some bad teams in 1-star sometimes. And so we really didn't have like a good match until the quarters. And then in this one, we're like, now we're the 8 seed in the quali
Yeah.
with more points than we had in the Cook Islands. It's
Yeah.
like, whew, all right.
It's crazy.
Here
I
we
mean,
go.
yeah, I mean, this whole year it's been kind of like that. Like people are just trying to play what they can because their points are dropping. Like
Yeah.
we've had that. We
Yeah.
thought we were going to be main draw. When we look, we realize all my tournaments were in April and don't count.
Brutal.
There goes.
And don't count for this tournament. So into the qualifier we went, but we also went in with that with a pretty good like mindset. Like, hey,
Totally.
if we're gonna want to do well in this tournament, we got to get through the qualifier
Yeah.
anyway. Like
Yeah.
we should. So, I think just starting out with that good mindset, like accepting it as soon as it came, and going
Going
from
with
there
it.
was
Yeah.
kind of helpful for us.
Yeah. And, well, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. How did you guys, because it seems like you guys are like, a partnership, whatever that means in beach volleyball anymore. But it seems like you guys have a good thing going. And I'm just curious, like, how you guys ended up kind of finding each other as partners.
Well, it happened for the AVP.
Yeah.
Because I was originally playing with Fallon, and once COVID hit, I was looking for a partner. And Allie, I don't think you had a partner at that point.
I reached out to you.
Yeah, and I think, yeah. And we practiced like 2 times together
Yeah.
before we fully like went for it. And in the AVPs, we had the same coach, Artie, and Pompilio we were working with at that time. And it just kind of like fell together the right way. I felt like we had the best connection practicing before those AVPs. So we went for that. And once we did fairly well in that, we were like,
Yeah.
okay, what does it look like from now on? And it was still so uncertain. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole coronavirus year was so uncertain. So we kept training, kept playing, and it kind of bled into this year. And then once we finally got tournaments on the schedule, we were like searching
Let's
for
do
a
it.
coach. We were searching.
Yeah.
We were like,
Everything was like,
we
all
need
right, let's do
to
it.
figure out everything really quickly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was fairly fast in a way, and we got Artie, and we've been like full train ahead. As
Yeah.
soon as we got in with the Artie, he had a whole plan for us, and he's been so organized. He's like
Yeah.
a blessing.
He's been
Oh my gosh,
such a
I
great
could not
coach
say
for us.
He's
more
awesome.
amazing things about Arthur.
Yeah.
I love him. But no, he's been like, all right, if this is your goal, let's get like, here we go. This is what we're doing. Get your journals out. Do this, and
Yeah.
every day we're here 100%.
Yeah. It's fun to see the ripple effects of 1440, Because so Arthur, Dan, Leandro, a lot of those coaches were all brought in for 1440.
Right.
And then I don't really know, like they seem to be more in the juniors market. But now we have all these great coaches around. So like you guys are working with Artie.
Yeah.
Leandro's working with Try and Trevor. And
Right.
Dan coaches like 10 hours
Everybody.
a day.
Yeah.
He's out there all the time.
All day.
He coaches
like-
all the time.
I just
All-
need to get him like a gallon of sunscreen and be like, please, use this, Dan.
Yeah. He is nonstop, that guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's amazing for at least the players, because now there's so many good coaches, so many
Yeah.
coaches that offer so many new and different things. They each have their own thing, I feel like, that they're really good at. Like,
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
been with almost all of those coaches at some
Different, like-
point in time, and I really, like, genuinely love all their coaching styles. They're, like, brilliant. The whole group, like, they always make you feel like a family. They have a lot of real special characteristics about them.
Yeah. Here's a question for you guys, though, because like Delaney and Tracy are sort of going through this where, so they like working with Evie Matthews, but he's obviously like his priority right now is Emily and Kelly.
Right.
And so they're just like popping around with different coaches. And I feel like every coach is really good at a couple of things, but sometimes like they can say things that contradict the other.
Too much. Yeah.
And so, like, do you think you've both been in the college system where you have at least like 3 voices out there? Like, do you think you can get to a point where you're just like getting too much advice
Yes.
from coaches?
Yeah. I think you can definitely.
I personally like think it's good to just try and be with like 1 or 2 coaches that are both on the same page, and like you can come together and have like the specific game plan and style of play that you want to be on board with, and go from there.
Yeah.
It can be tough with too many cooks in the kitchen, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Different opinions.
Especially because like beach volleyball, it's such a personalized,
Oh, yeah.
subjective sport.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no one right way to do
Totally.
anything.
There's so many different ways
Yeah.
to play the game.
Yeah, you'll get some coaches that are like, yeah, like run shoots, run this, and you'll get other coaches like start your approach from the end line,
Yeah.
set high, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but he told me to do that.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do
And I
that
think-
or that? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's an interesting time to like work through that and find what works for yourself.
Yeah.
And like you want to listen to all your coaches, and you want to be like, okay, let
Yeah.
me try this, let me try that. And we actually did that a little bit over this off season. It was interesting, and some things worked, some things didn't. I
Right.
felt like I had been hit by a train and like didn't know how to
Yeah.
play volleyball for like a good month. But you take away things from those moments as well, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so now I know I want to make sure that I'm, doing this every single time, because I
Right.
hit the ball better from, whatever it is.
Right.
And so it's still a good learning experience when
Yeah.
you can like funnel the noise and,
Yeah.
and put it into line where you need it.
Yeah.
I think too, you'll realize like as soon as something clicks, like it sticks with you, and you're like, okay, this works for me. Like I'm going with this. So
Yeah.
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 So you guys got Artie, and you mentioned that he was like, all right, if these are your goals, like, let's go. So what are the goals?
This podcast is also brought to you by our good friends over at Wilson Volleyball. You guys know the drill. The AVP plays with Wilson Volleyballs. You know why? Because it is the absolute best volleyball in the game. The college game plays with Wilson. Even the German tour is playing with Wilson Volleyball. Wilson is taking over the world, beginning on the Castaway Island with Tom Hanks, and they're not stopping until they get the whole beach volleyball world. So do your part and use our discount code SANDCAST-20 to play with the best beach volleyballs in the world. All right, that is SANDCAST-20. It's almost summer again. Time to get your refill of volleyballs. So use our discount code SANDCAST-20 to get 20% off of all Wilson volleyballs. And now, back to the show.
I mean, we want to play internationally. Right now, with this year, there's no, it's not like the Olympics for this year,
Yeah.
right? Because the points and the tournaments, all that. But I think in the future, the Olympics are both of our goals.
Yeah.
And definitely on our radar. And so right now, we want to do everything we can, earn as many international points as we
Yeah.
can
Yep.
to set ourselves up on that path, especially for 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our far away goal, and we have a bunch of intermediate goals
Yeah.
this 1 star.
That was our first
We had
goal.
our little journal. It was like, okay, a month from now, what's your goal? And
Yeah.
it was win the 1 star, which was the only tournament that we had on the schedule
Right.
at that point, which So that was very happy.
Check.
Were you like, get to
Check
check
that
that one off? Oh yeah, it felt really good to check that one
Yeah.
off. So it's cool to see like you're training towards something very hard.
Yeah.
And there's the little steps in between, all ending up like in that path to the big one. So it's encouraging. It's really cool.
Especially after this past year with COVID, it was pretty tough. Just like nothing on the schedule. Just I mean, we just had to stay focused and keep training and doing what we could do.
Yeah. Find ways to make money, coach a lot.
Right.
for I think both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And with how quick of a turnaround it is till Paris, because usually it's kind of like you'll have a 2-year gap and then it's the Olympic, but now it's just one, and who knows what that one season is going to look like, and then it's going to be Olympic qualification period again.
I know.
Right.
So I feel like right now is like sort of kind of an investment period where
Right.
you're like kind of investing dollars to exchange for points.
Totally.
And then now you're in the Olympic race,
Yep.
and it's just like this year is like just as important as an Olympic qualification year, because now you guys are investing enough where now you're in country quotas, and hopefully soon enough like you can be out of the quotas.
Yeah.
Because you've seen how firsthand how gnarly those things are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll take the opportunity. We were happy to have the opportunity
so
to be in the
excited.
country
Yeah.
quota.
Yeah.
We were like, yes, we're going. Let's change our flights. I left one flight on the table that I couldn't change.
Yeah.
Going home from Bulgaria because we didn't originally think that we were getting into this one.
Okay.
But
we knew like I think a week ahead of time. We were like, oh, we're in. Okay.
yeah,
We're,
it was.
we're signed
Let's
up.
get the visa.
go.
Let's do
Let's do all the things.
Yeah. But,
So.
yeah, because we were leaving early too, just like you guys were.
Yeah.
So having to get the visa, very rushed.
Yeah.
and
Did
all.
you have to get that expedited?
Yeah. we
Okay.
did.
Yep.
If we would have sent
Almost
it out
did
if we would have sent it out one day later, we would not have gotten our visas in time.
Yeah.
That was, well, it's crazy because obviously it was tough for like all of us to get it because we were leaving early, but the freaking Canadians, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Will and Jake, so originally the plan was to go from Bulgaria to Prague, and I'm assuming you guys probably would have been on that
Right.
schedule
Yeah.
as well. But Will and Jake, so they went to Cancun, and then Cancun to Bulgaria, supposed to go to Prague, but because like you can't really go back home to Canada, so they couldn't go back and get visas for Russia,
Right.
so they couldn't go here, even though they had the
wow.
points to get in.
That's
And so they were just kind of like stuck in limbo of like, well, now do we go to New Orleans and play that really good AVP next? Do we go home to Canada? We have to quarantine for 10 days.
Yeah.
And so
That's
they were
so
just like
brutal.
stuck. And so that's why like I admire Brandy and Heather so much. Like
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Brandy at dinner last night, and she's like, I won't be in my apartment in Toronto for a year.
That's crazy.
'Cause she
That's wild.
Yeah, because they're just training in Brazil. And then they went from like Brazil to Cancun out here. And you can't really go back to Canada.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think they were in
Brandy's
LA
like-
Oh, yeah,
for
they're
a
in
little while.
Yeah, they went to Hermosa.
Yeah.
And then, so Brandy was like, I won't be home until after the Olympics.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
So
brutal.
nuts.
That
I've
is
been on-
so brutal.
And we've been on the road for like, what, maybe 2-3
2
weeks?
weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I miss home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's crazy.
it's fun to get like a taste of like the world tour life though.
Yes.
Because like it's good to, this is like kind of an appetizer of what you're going to need to do if the Olympics like are what you want to do. It's like how have you guys responded to this trip? Obviously you've played great volleyball, but like mentally, emotionally, like, spiritually, how's everything else adding up?
I think pretty great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we really like love that opportunity, and I think
Yeah.
we both just really want more.
Yeah.
So I think like on all fields we're like, all right, we're hungry for more. We
We
got
are.
this one, a little taste. We want to get a little bit
Yeah.
more. Like we'd obviously want to get through the country quota into
Yeah.
those qualifiers. Then once we're in the qualifiers, main draw, I think we're like moving on that path of
Yeah.
this is exactly where we want to be.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to get that taste. Like
Oh,
how
yeah.
valuable is it just to like be here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome seeing these stadiums that are much like bigger than the 1 stars and the 2 stars that we've been at, and even the 3 star. You know, it's much more put together. They have a lot of resources for
Yeah.
them. USA sends more people to these. I think it's
Yeah.
4 star and above that they start sending
Yeah.
people and stipends and all that stuff for once you get in, and that's exactly where we want to be. Like
Yeah.
we want to be in that 4 star and above
Yeah.
category.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is like, what do you guys get motivated by? Is it so? I'm always more motivated by like signs of progress. So like I'm more motivated by a good result than I am like fired up on a bad one. So I don't know like how you guys operate.
I get.
I
That is a tough question.
I do. I definitely get fired up on a good result. Like
Yeah.
if I get a good result, I'm like, play again. Let's play again.
Yeah.
Like let's go to the next tournament. I want to get
I wanna
another
do
one.
that
Like
again.
it's very encouraging for me. So I could probably say that. Or even if I feel like we played well and we're like in it. You know, like even after this game,
Yeah,
I felt like
yes.
we played a really good match against
Yeah.
Gary and Brooke, and there's things that we could have done and all this other stuff that we're gonna watch and go over. But like still overall, like I feel like I played a good match, and that makes me want to go more and go home and go do the things that we didn't like that we could improve on and come back and do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those are the things I think that kind of motivate me.
Yeah, I would say like win or lose, like if we play well and have that progress, like that fires me up because
Yeah.
I know that there's so much more like
Growth.
and things that we can accomplish, and it's just
Improve
super
upon.
exciting. Like
Yeah.
after that country club
Yeah.
match, I was bummed that we lost like the end result, but I was stoked because we're playing well and
Yeah.
we can just build off from that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Fires me up because
And-
I know.
I'm like,
So what did you guys like about your games these past 2 weeks?
I think starting from the beginning to now, I think we've improved a lot just in our competition play. Like we talked about, we were nervous, very nervous. First game in the qualifier, like making a lot of soft errors, like doing a lot of like serving kind of in the court, like definitely.
Right.
And then being able to like almost get over that step of not competing for a while, and then finally feeling like, okay, now we're like have that focus and of competition, like the competition focus, and where we're able to like raise our game. And that's what I've really enjoyed about competing throughout this whole time. I feel like we've gotten better every match, every single game. We've improved on one thing or another.
Yeah, I would say like our confidence, energy, and like aggressiveness on the court has improved drastically from like beginning of the tournament to now, and it was just really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like I haven't competed in a while because you guys had the Champions Cup, but it had been a really good bit for me, and it's just so different because we always like bet at practice like $25 here or like lunch here, and like that gets you a little bit fired up, but then. Yeah, because like you kind of need it. I don't know, because sometimes if you're practicing like every 5 days a week for like 5, 6, 7 months without a tournament, like, you gotta do something to fire you up.
Yeah.
And competition's just so different.
There's
so
nothing
different.
like it.
I was so sore. Like we work so hard at home. We condition like crazy. We run before practice. We do already puts us through the ringer.
Yeah.
Like, and my body feels pretty
Tired,
the same.
but-
It's tired for sure, but it's the same. But we come out to competition. We play one qualifier game, and my quads have never been sore. I was like, oh my gosh, your whole body feels it.
Yeah.
You forget what it's like to be in that competition. It's just so different. Like
Like
everything's
the
turned
adrenaline
on.
and
Yeah.
everything pumping. It's
The
completely
adrenaline, the
different.
emotional, like
Draining
fatigue,
and
all of it. You almost forget that because in games and we're in practice, you do have that like edge and whatever. But at the end of the day, win or loss, it wasn't like there really wasn't much on the line besides
like you
maybe
just
your
go
pride.
home and continue your day.
That's but
literally
here
it.
it's like this is the one thing you're doing. This is
Right.
what you're here for, and
Right.
oh yeah, it just is a whole different toll on your body.
Yeah.
I missed it though.
It's awesome.
Well, you just answered the next question. I was like, do you enjoy that pressure?
Oh, I love
Oh
it.
yeah.
Okay.
I love it. It's so fun.
That's
to me.
awesome.
Yeah, I want to play another tournament right now.
Yeah.
Even.
Because I know sometimes like that pressure can almost ruin the sport for you if you look at it in a bad light. Like, oh my gosh,
Totally.
like, here, this is all I'm doing. Like if I lose, like I'm having this identity crisis, because I'm a beach
Yeah.
volleyball player, but I lost. But instead of like if you enjoy that pressure, then you guys
Yeah.
are on the right road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, the way you look at it, you gotta find a silver lining in each kind of scenario, you know? So,
Yeah.
Actually.
I mean, it's awesome. It's fun to have that kind of pressure in life, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
soak it in.
yeah, and so your country quota, just for the listeners, so you guys played good friends, Aurora and Sarah.
Yeah.
Well, how was it, first off, making the transition? So for the listeners, so you guys left Bulgaria Monday morning?
Monday morning
Monday
at 4 a.m.
4 a.m., and then you arrived in Sochi
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
On
and you had to
Monday.
and you had to compete the next day at 1.
1.
And
Yeah.
we had to get our PCR test
Yeah.
in time
So
as well.
which was no guarantee because
Yeah.
it took me 26 hours to get mine back. Took Try like 28. And so you guys that
got
was a roll of
lucky.
dice.
got really lucky.
We were nervous about that. Like, I was definitely having some... And I'm not usually nervous for travel, but even before we came here, I was like, I'm actually, like, a little nervous about
Yeah.
traveling in COVID. They're requiring so many more things. I don't
Yeah.
want to forget anything. Usually
Right.
I'm one of those people that can, like, show up, and I'm not always the best planner. That's Allie. Allie's that core,
Everyone
and I'm,
needs a
and
planner.
I'm here
Everyone needs a
for
planner.
the adaptability,
yeah.
you know? I'm here for
She
the...
like brings me down to earth and it's like, come on, just go with the flow.
I mean, it's
And
all
I'm
gonna be
okay,
alright,
good.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Calms
it
me
was...
down a little.
But I will say, this one I was definitely a little bit more, you know, on edge for it, especially with having to get those COVID tests back within the time that we had to play, knowing that we're not going to give them the 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have any other option.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like pacing in the room, like, when are we getting our test back?
And I'm having like a fake dream that we got our test back, and I wake up
She
completely...
just like manifest it.
No, I really did. I woke up in the middle of the night, like half awake, half asleep, and pretended to look at my phone. I actually picked up my phone and I was like, our tests are in. Oh my gosh, great. Fell back asleep, woke up in the morning and I was like, our tests aren't in. I did not get any notification saying that.
That's so funny.
But they were actually around the same time that I had woken up.
Yeah.
They actually came in. They just didn't tell us until like 10 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
When we made a few
When we
phone
made a
calls,
few
we
phone
were
calls
like,
to be like, can we
"Where's our
leave the
test?"
room?
Yeah.
Are our tests in yet? So that was a little definitely nerve-wracking. And we hadn't even seen the site before we stepped on for
Yeah.
our first country quota match. We hadn't walked around, even been here really at all.
Yeah, and like plane legs are real.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Oh, first match, my legs were...
Yep.
We're feeling that,
Yeah.
for sure.
And well, it's weird because like our flight, we were in the same time zone from Bulgaria to Sochi, but the flights were bizarre. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
where'd you go through?
We
Vienna.
went to Vienna
Vienna, Moscow.
and then
Sochi.
Sochi. But the
Sofia.
layovers were like 3-hour layovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
So-
time in the air was around like 5-6
6
hours.
hours,
6
yeah.
hours. But the time on the ground, like, you know, took up a decent chunk. And then even getting into Moscow, I was starting to get a little worried because we get there.
Yeah.
They took our passports away. They took everybody's passports away.
Really?
Yeah, and then went
Yeah.
into a room, disappeared without them for the next hour. And
What?
we're like,
Yeah.
we have a
We're like,
connection.
hopefully we get those back here soon.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're
Wait.
doing with them.
Where did they take them?
When
We-
we went to border control, they wouldn't let
Yeah.
us through. They gave our passports to this other guy that just said, follow us. Took us to a big, like, waiting room and
Whoa.
had us all
Yeah.
wait there for...
When my passport's out of sight, I like freak out.
We were also...
We were freaking out.
But he had a
was
stack,
like-
too. Like, a stack of
There was
20
probably like
passports.
60 or 70 of us just put
Really?
into this little
Jeez.
area. And like Trevor was there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
He got his pretty, like...
Pretty quick though.
Pretty quick
Yeah.
back. But
Okay.
we were waiting there for,
Quite some time. Yeah.
like, almost an hour.
Yeah. That airport's huge.
Massive.
It took us like an hour just to like walk through to get to our gate.
Yeah.
So I mean, we almost missed our connecting flight because we only had an hour and a half between.
Ooh.
And so we were just kind of like, we didn't even realize like that we should be in a hurry. We're like, oh, we got plenty of time. Like, let's just walk through. We're like, oh shit, like we were the last ones on the plane.
Oh no.
Yeah, luckily, I mean, we had, I think, a little bit, like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we had that hour to kind of, you know, wait for our passports
Yeah.
to be let into Moscow. And then we had like another hour to try to find our place and then
Yeah.
waited for
Yeah.
a little bit. And I mean, it wasn't that long. Like we hardly even ate that day because we'd been
Because-
traveling since 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And nothing was
Nothing
Nothing's
was open.
Yeah.
COVID and
And so when we got there with our boxed meals that they leave at the door
Yeah.
for us because we were in quarantine, it
we
was
just devoured it. we
devoured
didn't even know
this.
what we ate. But
Yeah.
It was a whole, we don't even know what it was really. These packaged.
Yeah. I mean, at least the food here is awesome. This
Yeah.
is like such a cool setup. This is one of the coolest sites I've ever seen.
I
It
love
is.
this Sochi site. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So I guess I was talking to this one Russian coach that I met in Doha, and she said that they built like the IOC the Russian Olympic Committee just like got so much funding from the government when they hosted the Sochi Olympics, and so they just like poured money into it. And so this is like a brand new site made specifically like as an Olympic training center.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And
That's
I mean, it's beautiful. I could
such a
definitely
nice site.
see this being like a good training center. I would love to train here for.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was funny because like Sam Pedlow was asking how it was. I was like, dude, Russia's awesome.
It
He was
is.
like, that makes you the first person to say that. I was like, if we don't like this place, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This has been like everything here in this hotel is like extremely nice, extremely new. The stadium court is awesome. I was so stoked that we got to play in there for our first game
Really
and
cool.
our second game. Like I was like, all right, we got to get this on camera. This is one of the coolest stadiums I think I've ever played in.
I think me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, how was it playing after all that mess? Like, don't know if you're getting your test back. You get your test back, like, an hour and a half before you play. And then, because that's, like, it's tough to, like, get your emotions back under control when you're just, like, you're pacing the room. Like, we haven't even touched a ball in 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm probably more of a, like, get stressed out more than Corinne does. So for me, it's like, okay, like, everything's set now. Like, that's behind us.
Yeah.
Like, now all we get to focus on is the game. Like, it was just, like, kind of like a breath of, like, fresh air. Like, okay, this is our only job right now in this moment.
Yeah, we also kind of were prepared that we were getting them back. Like, we were mentally, as soon as we woke up, we're like, okay, we're playing.
Yeah.
Like, don't even worry about the tests. Like, let's try to pretend like that's not even a factor right now.
Yep.
And we'll work at it at a very, like, logical way. We'll call who we need to call. We'll try to get in touch. And then once we have those results back, we're like, woo!
Yep.
We knew it was going to work out. Now we get to do exactly what we had talked about before. Like, it was kind of just, putting that in your mind already, trying to keep that as your main focus for the day. I feel like.
Yeah. So I feel like your stoke level just had to have been so high just to play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When we got the results back, we were like, yeah! Did a little scream each, and then we're like, okay. Now let's go.
How was it different at all to play in the qualifier in Bulgaria versus the quota, or is it like similar?
I was thinking about this, and I was thinking if it would be different if we had just flown out here just for the country quota, rather than being in a tournament before and coming straight here to another. Because for me, like, the nerves were definitely different.
Yeah.
Like, I had the nerves in the qualifier for Bulgaria, but this one, it felt more, like, calm, focused, like, we want it, almost. It didn't feel as...
We didn't really have
nervy.
nerves.
No, it didn't feel the same, but I don't know why. And that could have been because we just had finished a whole tournament.
Yeah.
And I mean, seeing the site, it was like a really cool environment to be in, but I definitely didn't feel...
It's more just excitement.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like nervous anything really. Just like wanting to get out there and play our best ball. So.
Yeah.
Do you think that... So I think one of the reasons that I get more nervous playing FIVBs than AVP is because there's like this element of the unknown of a team, like that Spanish team you guys played.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
Like, and just playing a team you don't know anything about, I think is so weird. It's like, I was almost more comfortable playing against Cam and Theo, who I've played like 100 times in practice, than I was against like one of the teams we played in Bulgaria. Like this French team who ended up being like ridiculous. It's like, geez, I don't know anything about you guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It is definitely a different, like, unknown, because you don't know a lot of these players, especially like in the 1-stars or whatever. There's a lot of good, the last 1-star for sure, a lot of good teams that were in the qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, they had full Bulgarian teams into the main draw, and the main draws were only 12.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like a very strong qualifier, and we didn't even like know the people, which was interesting for sure. Like, we are still trying to figure out mid-game, all right, who do we want to serve? Like, is somebody stronger, is somebody weaker?
Yeah.
What are their
I
tendencies?
just have to watch warm-ups and kind of go off.
Watching warm-ups and like taking that
In-game
first half of the
strategies,
game, to be like, to kind of like observe and
just
learn
adapt.
and kind of, and then take it into that like technical timeout and be like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. let's try this, you know, and kind of work your
Yeah.
strategy from there when you don't know these teams.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
I feel like the approach for a quota mentally is just different because
Yeah.
like you know Aurora as
Yeah.
well as you won an event with her and took a
Yeah.
ninth in another one and you guys know Sarah really well, so it's just like a little different playing against a team that you're familiar with. I know it's just more
Right.
comfortable for whatever reason, even though the stakes are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I never actually thought of like, going into like the qualifier, how different it was with the quota.
Yeah. I'm curious what it's like, because I mean, you guys are kind of what I would call like the Carrie Walsh, Misty May generation, where you guys were kids when
Yeah.
they were just like being the greatest team in the world.
For
Yeah.
sure.
How was it playing against Carrie?
Oh, it was so fun.
It was really fun. I will say I wasn't thinking about that while I was playing because I don't know, I like to like blinders on, play
Yeah.
the game
Yeah.
rather than the people that I'm playing against to a certain degree. But like afterwards, I was like, man, would it have been cool to take a set off of them?
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, like Carrie has been one of my idols since I started volleyball. She's part of the reason why I started playing beach
Right.
volleyball for sure. So like being able to compete against that is
Yeah.
like pretty amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
as the little kid in me is like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
But like me as an adult is like, okay, let's go. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's take care of business.
Me too. I mean, like, she's been my idol ever since I was younger, and like she went to the same high school as me too. So
Really? I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, she grew up in the same area as
Okay.
me. And just like watching her success has been amazing, and to play against her was awesome. But just like Corinne said, like putting the blinders on and just focusing on our game and playing our best ball. So
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a cool sign of like maturity as like legitimate professional athletes, that you guys are like, you know what, like it doesn't matter if she's won 3 gold medals, a bronze medal, and been to another Olympics. You know, like we're also here to win.
Yeah.
And I think like you guys play Carrie and Brooke 10 times, like you might split 6 and 4. And so like you're right there,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
probably a pretty cool moment for you guys
It
to like,
is.
even though like you didn't win or take the set, but like you were up like 13-8 at the Tech or 12-9, so like you were there.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a really close game, and I
It
think
was.
that does kind of feed into like, okay, like we can do that. Like we can be with those teams, and we can, you know, play with the big dogs, however you want to say it.
yeah,
And it's exciting because that's also very encouraging, and that's
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
motivating factor again that makes us want to go back and
exactly.
fix up some of those little things and come back and try it again.
Yeah.
After that game, we were just like, we want to keep playing. Like,
Yeah.
we want to play right now. We were just pretty hungry to get back out there. So
Yeah. And so you guys, how long are you here for?
We leave tomorrow.
we leave tomorrow,
Thursday.
back to
Okay.
LA.
Okay. And then so you're back to LA for like a week, and
Week and
then
a half,
back to
yeah.
back to home,
back to
Bulgaria.
Yes. Yep. So we'll be back out there for the 1 star.
Do your points from the last 1 star, did you get that in enough time to impact this next one?
I don't think so.
Well, I
Brutal.
think it'll adjust the qualifier seating,
Okay.
but it doesn't affect our entry. We're still in the qualifier.
It's alright.
But I
It's-
think we'll be first in the qualifier.
Okay.
I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm just not even gonna.
Just
You
here to
know,
play
we're
some
in the
ball.
qualifier, so whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we already know that.
Yeah.
and we know
Yeah.
how gnarly those qualifiers are going to be, so we're
Yeah.
going to prepare for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what other American teams are coming out to that one?
I think Sarah and Aurora, and I think that's it, right?
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think
who
those
else.
that's the only other team in
Okay.
as well.
There's like 178 teams signed up.
That's insane.
Owner.
Oh my
so
gosh.
owner Cara is the owner of the Sophia Beach facility.
Owner.
Owner.
Great
the
dude.
owner.
Owner the owner.
He's amazing. Love that guy.
And he was just like, look at this list. 178 teams. It's insane.
Men and women?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's
Who's
nuts.
going on the guy's side?
Me and Adam and Mike Bogue and Tim Brewster.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it'll be good to have them out here.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that'll be fun.
Yeah. I felt bad for Timmy because he was actually supposed to play here with Kolinsky, but Bill like hurt his back, and so he had to pull out. I was like, damn, Timmy finally like gets a shot with
such
like
a
a pretty
bummer.
big dog.
Yeah.
Cause Tim works so hard.
Yeah, he
I
does.
freaking love that kid.
I loved
does.
him. He's great.
Yeah.
And he's such a hard worker. He's got such a great attitude every time. Like, always rooting for him.
Yeah.
You know? It's hard not to.
Yeah. So he'll get his shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, what do you work on when you go back home? I mean, you're only there for a week, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, you just basically try to
Well,
keep your touch.
Yeah, we're gonna meet up with Artie, watch some film from this tournament.
Yeah.
Go over some of that stuff, and then we'll definitely try to get in the sand.
Yeah.
Try to do sort of business as usual, preparing like as if we had a week for our next tournament, and then
Just kind of reset. And
Yeah.
just
pack more sports bras.
pack a bit more clothes.
Yes. I've learned a lot from this trip.
Yeah.
I usually carry on now that I've missed a few flights because of checked baggage and other things, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I like carrying on, or at least being able to carry on.
Yeah.
And I had so many sports bras that I was going to bring, and I was like, I don't need all these.
Yeah.
Turns out I definitely needed all of this. So
Luckily, I checked a bag, so
Yeah.
I got
Okay.
some extra clothes.
yeah,
Yeah. So Adam only has a backpack
that's insane.
for 5 weeks.
What?
We're on the road. Yeah.
How?
That's it. His bag is like shoot, where'd it go?
Right here?
Right behind you guys.
This.
That's what he has.
That's
It's like
it.
one of those Harry Potter tents. Where
Yeah,
like
you said he was
It's like
wearing
Mary
a different,
Poppins. Like, how did...
wearing
Yeah.
a different outfit every day, though.
yeah, this dude has like nice clothes for going out to restaurants and whatever. I'm like, what? Let me look in this bag. He has like some magic charm on
Wow. That's impressive.
it. Yeah, he's done this once or twice.
Yeah, not his first
Yeah.
rodeo.
No, not at all. It's great to travel with him because I'm just like taking notes the whole time.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, so for the day that Adam turns like 88 and can no longer travel and play beach volleyball, then I'll be ready to take over as our travel agent.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had-
guys, or good.
I was just going to say, I had no idea he was 45.
Yeah.
I found that out this trip.
Everyone, it's so funny. The reactions are the same. It's just like, he's how old? I'm like
Yeah.
45. Like, no, come on.
And I forget what it was. There was a Netherlands player, and I was like, she's 40. Like, we were playing against a girl, and I was like, wow, she's 40. Then I realized I was saying that in front of Adam. I was like, wow, he's 45. Like, really, age does not mean much in this
Nope.
sport.
Just a number.
Crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, guys, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your Sochi day. Your off
Thank
day.
you
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
Yeah, good to have you both back on. Last time you were on, you were winning medals with Amanda, and last time you were on, you were like dominating fours and
Oh,
snow
dogs.
volley, the Snow Dog Desert Queens of Weird.
Oh my gosh.
So every time you win, we just bring you back on.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll be on again soon.
That's the plan. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you in Bulgaria.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Shoots.